All right, superstars. Today we are looking at lesson 2.4, rotations. And we're going to try rotations done a little bit differently than I did last year. Last year I tried doing the rules method, and some students were successful, but others were not. This is the more traditional one where we're actually just going to practice rotating the actual paper and helping us find our answer from that. So essentially you're going to get your DJ name on, and you practice your rotations, and you're going to scratch that record, wicka wicka, and so on to help you guys be successful. Objective, I can rotate polygons about a point on the coordinate plane and construct them. Construct them essentially means you're just putting your good points and connecting them to make a nice, neat shape. Remember, you're not freehanding it. We want to be a little bit more accurate with that straight edge. Now, the rotation about a point in 8th grade, Math 8, we rotate about the origins. That's very key, especially when we get to our rules about the origin. Some of the teachers in high school will teach you the more advanced one, where you might rotate about a point, such as like 1, 1, or maybe even 1, 2, or something else. Again, something that's not in the very center of your coordinate plane, which again is called the origin. So obviously, rotating, you should know that's turning. So we're going to go ahead, instead of sliding it around, which was the translation, instead of the mirror image, which was the reflection, our rotation, again, is going to be turning at about a point, turning an image. So imagine you have this quadrilateral, and that dot there represents your origin. You can rotate it clockwise. You can rotate it counterclockwise. So let's see. If this is your center of rotation, which again for us will be our actual ordered pair, and if I decide to rotate it that direction 90 degrees, I'd like you to go ahead and turn to your partner and decide, do you think that is clockwise or do you think that is counterclockwise? I'll wait 10 seconds for you guys to figure it out. Remember, if you rotate it to the right, which we're then going to use our right hand to turn our paper, that is going to be your clockwise, just like the clock on the wall. I'm looking at it right now. You got the second hand rotating clockwise, and then it goes from right, and it just keeps going around. Where the other direction, we're going to use our left hand to rotate it, and that's going to be counterclockwise, and that would be turning to the left. And essentially, that's what this one is. So if I were to rotate it 90 degrees, it would look something like this. So essentially, that's what we're going to try and figure out. We're going to use our words, which is going to be on your assignment. So we're going to get that focus right now. So make sure you have your pencil, make sure you have your straight edge. There's one actually easy one that's called the 180 degrees, and I'll show you that one as well. But again, the 90 clockwise and the 90 counterclockwise is the one that's a little bit more challenging. All right, let's go ahead and jump right into the assignment. Getting that pulled up here. Beautiful. So what we have again is our 90 degrees, 180, 270. Ooh, let's talk about that 270 real quick. The trick is, if you ever see a 270, you could actually change it. Let me get my drawing tool. You could change it to 90 degrees the other direction. I'm going to go ahead and use the code for CC, which is counterclockwise. So I'm going to lightly cross that off. All right, if it's a 90 or a 180, that's perfectly fine. Let's scan through to see if we see, oh, right here, another 270. So again, we're going to go ahead and change that. Maybe you just write it right here, 90C, because if it's 270 counterclockwise, then it's really 90 clockwise. Right here, 270 clockwise, that would be 90 degrees counterclockwise, which again is the other direction. Let's see, number 15, again, 90 degrees counterclockwise. Now, you could turn it 270 clockwise if you want to, but most students find it a lot easier to just remember that that's really 90 degrees counterclockwise. All right, so what we're going to ask you to do is to take your right hand on your paper, please, and you're going to rotate it clockwise with me. So I'm going to show you on the screen, essentially. Again, right hand is our clockwise format. So I'm going to go ahead and click it on here, rotate clockwise. Now, if you've done it correctly, you should notice that your name section, name part, is now on the right. Again, that would be 90 clockwise. All right, go ahead and undo it. Go back to normal. And you know it's back to normal again if you have your name part at the top. So again, 90 clockwise is going to be your right hand, rotate it. Your name is on the right side now. That is 90 clockwise. All right, take your left hand, please. Left hand on your paper. You're going to go ahead and rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, again, is to the left, which means your name is now on the left. This is one of the easiest ways to try and do it. Make sure that you got right hand for clockwise, left hand for counterclockwise. All right, rotate it back to normal, please. Now, the thing about 180, the 180, anytime you see 180, if you notice there's no directional there, so really you can use whichever hand you want to, but you need to go ahead and make sure that your paper is actually upside down whenever you see the 180 statement. And those ones are actually the easiest to do. So we're going to do that one first. So let's go ahead and practice. Go ahead and get it back to normal. So we're going to go ahead and look at number 2. So the way that we like to teach it when we're doing it more of the traditional method is to rotate your paper, write down what you see, and then that's what your answer is going to be constructed as. So remember, we've got our pre-image here, so we're going to go ahead and graph our image. So we're going to do one of each, a 180, a 90 clockwise, a 90 counterclockwise, and then we'll look at our rules. All right, so let's see, 180. Again, upside down, that's the key thing. Doesn't matter which way you do it, just make sure your paper's upside down. So we're looking at number 2. So let me zoom in. So essentially what I see on number 2, the 180, is what my answer is going to be. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to leave your paper as is, and essentially you're going to think about this as the origin. And remember, the top right is quadrant 1. So that means when we make our answer, we're going to have 2 points that are going to be in quadrant 1, and then 2 points that are going to be on the y-axis. So let's go ahead and start with maybe T prime. To get to the T prime, because remember, when I make my answer, that's going to be the location of T prime. That's going to be right and up. So let's see, right is 1, 2, 3, 4, and up is 1, 2, 3. So T prime, when I make my answer, is going to be at 4, 3. All right, maybe I do a U prime next. U prime, similar movement, right 4, but this time it's up 1, 2. So I write 4, 2. Again, we're getting the location of our new points. Once I have all 4, I will rotate back to normal, and then I will construct my new image. All right, let's see, maybe V prime. V prime, again, be very careful with your movement. That is no left or right. So that's a 0, and then up 1. And then finally, a W prime. Similar movement, no left or right, which is 0, but this time it's up 1, 2, 3. So it'd be 0, 3. Now the thing about this method though is since we wrote our numbers nice and neat there, is when I unrotate it, meaning make it back to normal, gonna have to kind of like maybe rotate my head a little bit or rotate the paper back and forth for you to be able to see the numbers, or maybe you can read your numbers upside down. All right, so now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and get my paper back to normal. We're on number 2. And if you remember, we're going to go ahead and actually have 2 points up here in quadrant 1 and 2 points on the y-axis. So let's see, reading upside down, T prime is 4, 3. So from the origin, again, I go right 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, 2, 3. That would be T prime. U prime is 4, 2. So again, that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, 2. So I have my 2 points in quadrant 1. Now I'm going to go ahead and identify the other ones. A V prime, remember that's a 0, 1. So that means no left or right movement, just up 1. And then a W prime is 0, 3, no left or right movement, just up 1, 2, 3. And again, as we had our objective constructing again, we're actually going to go ahead and connect it with the straight edge. So grab your straight edge, please, and connect it for your new image. And again, we start with the 180 because that's the easiest one to do. You just make it upside down, paper's upside down, and then you do some counting. So we organize our thoughts by talking about the primes, and then we unrotate it, and we make that answer. All right, let's try number 1. Number 1 is 90 degrees clockwise. So whenever you see the word clockwise or counterclockwise, it is very important to rotate it the correct direction. So again, if you remember clockwise, that's our right hand. So you're going to place your right hand on your paper and you're going to rotate it to the right, which means your name is going to be on the right. So confirming is your name part of the assignment on the right side, like mine is there. Beautiful. So essentially, this is what your answer is going to look like. So remember, this is the origin. You have 1 point in quadrant 2 and 2 points in quadrant 3. So let's go ahead and maybe start with E prime. To get to E prime again, remember that's quadrant 2 when we make our answer, because this is what our answer is going to look like. I'm going to move left 1, 2, up 1. So that's -2, 1. All right, let's see. Go to C prime maybe. Quadrant 3, so let's see, it's going to be left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 1, 2, 3. So left 5 is -5. Down 3 is -3. All right, the last one, D prime. Let's see. Again, quadrant 3, so that's left 1, down 1, 2, 3. So that's -1, -3. Once you have what your new points are going to be looking like at which location, again, you're going to unrotate it, get your paper back to normal. Essentially, your name is on the top. And then we're going to go ahead and plot those points. All right, so for problem number 1, E prime, that is in quadrant 2. Left 2, 1, 2, up 1, up 1. Make sure you label it with E prime. C prime, that's in quadrant 3. That's left 5, down 3. Left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 1, 2, 3. And then a D prime, that's left 1, down 1, 2, 3. A lot quicker with just 3 points. So take your straight edge and connect them. So the key thing here is the correct rotation. If you rotate your paper the wrong way, then unfortunately your answer is obviously going to be in the wrong spot. Because on some of your test questions, we may ask you, well, where is E prime located? Which quadrant? E prime is located in quadrant 2. What are the specific points? The specific numbers? Well, E prime is at -2, +1. So instead of maybe doing the whole problem, we might just ask about a small portion of it. But again, it's all important to rotate it the correct way. All right, so we did rotate 180, which was just upside down, rotate 90 clockwise, which was to the right, a quarter turn, and then let's do number 3. Even though it was 270 clockwise, we change it to be 90 counterclockwise. So essentially number 3 and 4 are very similar. Number 3 has 3 points, number 4 has 4 points. So again, 90 counterclockwise. Go ahead and take your left hand and you're going to rotate it to the side. And essentially, you know you've done it correctly if you have your name on the left. Because again, you're using your left hand to rotate your paper, so name on the left side. So we're going to go ahead and write down our primes again. As we see them, imagine again, this is the answer. So we're going to find the location and then construct that answer. So let's see, if I start with J prime. Remember, origin's here, so J prime would be in quadrant 3. That's left 1, 2, down 1, 2, 3. So left 2 is -2, down 3 is -3. Maybe go to L prime. So again, it really doesn't matter which letter you start with as long as you do all of them correctly. All right, L prime, that's left 1, down 1, 2. Left 1, down 2. Quadrant 3 again. All right, last one, K prime. This is in quadrant 2, so let's see, left 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up 1. So left 5, up 1. Once you have your good points, you're going to rotate it back to normal and construct your answer. So let's see, J prime is at -2, -3. So from the origin again, you're going to go left 1, 2, down 1, 2, 3. So again, all we're doing is teaching you how to count for a few more days. Got to rotate your paper correctly first, though. All right, L prime, that's left 1, down 2, -1, -2. And then finally, K prime, that's left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then up 1. Make sure you're labeling it as you go. All right, we're going to connect it for our beautiful new answer. And remember, rotation is a specific type of transformation where you still get congruent images, which means congruent sides, congruent angles, and so on, like we did at the very beginning of chapter 2. All right, so you have some additional problems like that you're going to practice. Again, it's just quick rotation. But before we get to that, I want to talk about the rules. Because again, the rules, a lot of students unfortunately do it the wrong way. Oh, look at these ones right here. They actually give you your points. So you got to plot it first. And then you make your movement. And look, there's a space there for you to write it. Wow, we are super nice on there. So again, you're going to graph the pre-image. So you're going to make the image to kind of look like what we had up here in this section. You already got a spot designated to write it down. Nice and organized. All right, so the last thing we want to look at again is the rules. Now on my paper again, it's a little bit easier to see because again, it's got the 2 colors. But you want to focus again on your actual pre-image, which is the normal letters. So let's say maybe you focus on B, not the B prime. Focus on the W, not the W prime. Focus on the S, not the S prime. Lights again. Ooh, look at this one right here. This one is actually kind of a tricky problem for some student on the test. Some students think it looks like a translation because it kind of does. But notice the letters. G is here, and then G prime is all the way here. Essentially, can we agree that this would be an upside down image? And if you remember, the upside down, the rule was rotate 180 degrees. No direction needed because again, 180, you can turn whichever way you want. Rotate 180 degrees, and we're going to finish it with about the origin. That is our center of rotation in Math 8. But again, it's not a translation. You got to be really careful there. It is a rotation because the image is essentially upside down from the pre-image. All right, so if that's a rotate 180, which one do you think this is going to be? How is S going to move to S prime? And if you notice, kind of like the clock idea, it's traveling this direction. Again, S is rotating to S prime. Well, we're going to start off with rotate again. It's definitely a 90 because it's not an upside down one. We need a direction there. You can use the little code, C for clockwise, C for counterclockwise. Going to give you guys 10 seconds looking at my little hint there, thinking about the clock. Hey, I just kind of gave it to you. Rotate 90 degrees clockwise about the origin. And remember, if it goes the other direction, to the left essentially, that would be counterclockwise. So let's see. Do we have it here? Oh, yeah. See how the W is going to move this direction kind of backwards. That is not clockwise, that's moving backwards. So that one is going to be 90 degrees. Oh, we got to start off with the correct word, rotate. 90 degrees counterclockwise, because again, it's going backwards compared to the clock. Rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise about the origin. So identify the regular letter first from the pre-image. Then you're going to figure out which direction you have to move to get to the new letter on the new image, and that'll help you come up with your rules. All right, you're going to try your best to complete this, and you guys are going to be awesome. Have a great day.